So let's talk about this book. I am currently at page 194, 195, and I don't know. I'm having issues with the writing. I feel like it's been very, very descriptive, but descriptive in this way that's like very poetic. Maybe a little bit flowery, too flowery. I'm reading it and sometimes I like zone out on what I'm reading because it's just like these words put together to like express a feeling and to also like show me a visual, but like I'm confused about what I'm seeing. I'm not even confused. Like, I didn't even see it. I'm just reading it and, like, not processing it. Honestly, I feel like this book could have been a lot more simply written, but I also think I understand why. From my understanding, Ryan Douglas, prior to this book, he's written a book of poems. So I'm assuming that poetry is his first love, or at least one of his strong suits. How he's written in this book, it's not necessarily for me personally, especially the moments when it comes to being very supernatural, going into Dead World, dealing with the paranormal, metaphysical. It kind of gets me and loses me at times. The writing just feels like I still can't even imagine this. There are times when it's like I see it and then all of a sudden it goes into like this other thing to kind of express emotions and feelings. And then also, the book is also written in first person. No, it's not written in first person. It is written in first person present. And I think I probably wouldn't mind the first person so much if it was just told a lot more matter of factly, straight to the point. I don't know how other people feel about it. I will have to look at reviews to see how other people are feeling about this writing because but beyond that, I am enjoying the story. I am enjoying who Sawyer is, who Jake is, and their family relations and all that stuff. I am loving the romance that's happening in here. We have Alistair. I love him as a character. I love how it's unfolding. It is not trying to make this romance happen all at once, immediately, all too fast. It's just like slowly unfolding. Friendships are slowly unfolding. I just love it. It feels like this could move on to becoming a series because they're setting up some fantastical things, some paranormal things like ancestral planes and ancestors being a part of your life and helping you. I can see that coming like in another book, being that Jake is like a medium. We can see him having more adventures, having Fiona and Alistair by his side. Maybe even, you don't know, maybe even Grady could come along. We could see maybe Benji will come along too. But like seeing how his life develops with his friends and his family, his connection to the ancestral plane and dealing with ghosts and the paranormal, like I would love to see if there's more stories that can be told with Jake Livingston. Seriously, the only thing that's killing it for me right now is the writing. I've had to just kind of power through the writing a little bit. Like, I get what's happening. I get that we're trying to put some emotion, put some beauty and art behind the writing. But I really feel like if it was a little bit more simplified, especially since it's already done in first person present, it feels like I'm getting wrapped up in like these convoluted thoughts that are just like exhausting me to read it. So I have a few more pages to the end. I will say this about the character of Sawyer. He's reminding me so much of Jeffrey Dahmer. It's ridiculous. Let me tell you, I just finished watching like that Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix miniseries, but I know it's problematic because everybody's saying like, oh my gosh, you should not watch those because the families of the victims aren't profiting and you're re-traumatizing them. But honey girl, I was traumatized. I was like creeped out, haunted, terrified by it. Sawyer pretty much comes across like a Jeffrey Dahmer. Like he just feels Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. He's already kind of described almost Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. So much of him is like Jeffrey Dahmer, but like in the 21st century. I don't know if Ryan Douglas like already saw other Jeffrey Dahmer movies or Sawyer just reminded him of a bunch of other white men that have Jeffrey Dahmer pathologies. There's a lot of Jeffrey Dahmer in this video, girl. I will finish this and we will see if I enjoy this ending. I completed the Taking of Jake Livingston and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, so much of the action and like supernatural and all that stuff, it was exciting and interesting, but at the same time, I was also like super confused about it. And I feel like some of that came from just like this poetic prose was just confusing my visual. And not just that, but it's also the present tense first person, it was making it just more stressful to read this book. I think it would have been better in a past tense first person instead of like a present tense first person. I could see where it was going at times where it's like beautiful and poetic and prosy, but it was just like I was losing the visual. It was just like I was kind of like getting like glimpses of the visual, kind of in it, kind of out of it. It really dragged it for me, and it made the book a lot more humorless. I just finished reading Cold by Mariko Tamaki, and I'm currently reading Ace of Spades, and I found moments where I like laughed and there was just like a humor to it. And in this book, I didn't really have those moments to laugh. Then the moments with Sawyer was like more past tense because he was like writing in his journal, and then the times when he was more up to present time, he was still, I think most of the time, still a little bit more past tense first person, so I could have still dealt with it, but his perspective was just so dark and so just dreary. I do think it's a really good horror book because you feel the atmosphere, the darkness, the dour dreariness of it. But that writing, I get it. I get that Ryan Douglas is a poet from what I was seeing on Goodreads. He has like I think 2 poetry books. I completely see that, but at the same time I'm also like, nah. It's just too poetic for me. But I will say coming down to the end, like just the familial connection, we could have gotten a little deeper into that, but the moment that we got with Benji, I enjoyed that. I just wish he would have had a lot more communication with his mother. I didn't really get too much of that. I got more of like the brotherly bonding. I'm assuming there might be another Jake Livingston book, and we'll get a little bit more of a family relationship also with his mother, and who knows, maybe other family members. But I love the friendship connections. I feel like those moments with family and friends is where the book really shined for me compared to like the supernatural, because it was just getting kind of bogged down and just all that poetry mixed in with action and this present tense first person, like all of that was just a lot, clouding a lot of the visuals in this book for me. But I kind of get it. It kind of did set an atmosphere of like you're living ghost world. Sometimes it felt like you weren't just living in a dead world, but you also living in like a cloud, a haze, But I loved the date with Benji. I loved the romance. I loved that romantic moment. I love how the romance kind of builds up the like falling in love and the flirt. Just that connection. I felt like that shined really great, and I would love to see Ryan Douglas write like just a straight up romance. I believe like he could do that because from reading this, he knew how to like pace it well where we're like, ooh, the romance is like, we're living in it. It's not too forced or fast or insta-lovey, but like when it's starting to like progress, you feel it, you see it, the little like moments of touching and the energy. They got the little moments, interplay and the interactions, just the banter. I love that. I thought that was so cute. I'm just looking forward to seeing what other fiction that Ryan Douglas comes out with. Who knows? In the future, I might reread this book and get a new perspective. Thank you for spending your time with me. And I am out this bitch like Fleek. Shout out to Peaches.